30,000 foot flyby. Let's talk about acquisitions, which is deal flow, right? We're finding the deal using broker relationships. I often will use LoopNet and Crexy. I don't find many deals there. What I find is relationships there. I find deals that I can call the broker, say, hey, calling about your building on 123 Main Street. Doesn't really fit my criteria, but let's go over what I am looking for, and I'd really love to be on your list. Is there a way you can add me to your email blast list, because they all have one, and let's communicate. And the next time that I'm over in wherever, Texas, Missouri, Oklahoma, I'd love to grab some lunch. So broker relationships are created, generally going to happen through LoopNet or Crexy. For me anyways, there's many ways you can get referrals. I'll tell you, they all share your email list or your email onto their list, because I get, I didn't share it with 100 people, but I get 100 different people emailing me deals all the time, right? More than I could possibly ever go through. So that's one, is finding the deal. Underwriting the deal and underwriting the deal and underwriting the deal. That's a joke for anybody who's done this. You underwrite the deal numerous times and then do it again and then do it again, and then somebody else looks at it and they do it again. And the reason why is because we want to make sure that we have not been too optimistic, number one, and then number two, that we haven't missed anything, right? So it's very common to be underwriting, and then if there's updated financials, you'll compare it, you'll do it again, but the underwriting happens over and over and over again. Making the offer is the next step, which is what we call letter of intent, which is really just a meeting of the minds. It's telling the seller and the broker the terms under which we, not just the price, but also the terms, the lending, the debt requirements that we're going to have in order to pull this off. Interest rate not to exceed this, closing times, due diligence times, all that. That will go back and forth redlined a few times, so we negotiate through that. That then becomes the purchase and sale agreement, which is when we're engaging attorneys, and their attorney and our attorney are going back and forth redline. Did you guys hear that or no? Yes? Okay. I forgot that was in there. Then we open escrow, right? Transaction coordinator, you usually going to create a critical dates document that tells you when you need to have your earnest money in, when you need to have your due diligence done and signed off on. That's either going to be the title company or your attorney. An attorney that's on their game will immediately produce that for you. We're going to do two different types. There's three different types of due diligence that's done during this time. One of them is the legal side. That's going to be done by your attorney. She's going to check out the title policy for title objections and that sort of thing. She's going to deal with all the legal stuff. But the financial and the physical, I don't go to the property until I've at least reasonably well confirmed the financial side. Because we've underwritten the deal based upon the T12 or income statement, whatever you want to call it, that was provided by the seller. Now that we have a deal, now we need to confirm that T12, that income statement, is accurate. So I'm talking dumpster bills, pest control bills, water, sewer, trash bills. I want to see 12 months of those so we're verifying all the expenses, the reoccurring expenses. And we're also getting their bank statements and verifying deposits and making sure that we have income verified. Income and expenses. And I'm just going to tell you a little secret. It never verifies 100%. That's not my goal, not perfection. Because I know what my payroll is going to cost. I know what my management is going to cost. I know what my insurance is going to cost because I've gotten my own quote, not relied on his. And I know the taxes are going to go up in 99% of the time. And I know exactly what they're going to be. So I don't worry about some of his expenses on those categories. I just want those reoccurring expenses. Once I'm reasonably satisfied, I can do that literally. Once you get the PSA approved, generally a broker that's on their game already has the seller in a Dropbox, all the data that we're going to, by the way, page 2 or the addendum to the LOI tells them everything I'm going to want. It tells them I want the dumpster bills. It tells them I want the trash bills. It tells them I want the water bills, all of that. So they're already rounding that stuff up while we're going back and forth redlined with the attorneys. So, but once we get the deal, we get an email with a link to Dropbox, and it gives us a link to go right in and start ripping that stuff apart. And literally within 2 days, we can have that done. And we are arranging flights. We're arranging third-party inspections. And we're actually engaging. Things have changed. You used to pay someone $50 a door to do a third party, but a lot of the management companies have changed and have pivoted because they want to be part of that, so they can see what they're inheriting when we close. So they'll walk the doors with us. They generally charge either $0 or $25 a door. The challenge is this: with $0, the inspections can get a little lackadaisical. So you must set expectations. I don't mind paying $0, but I'd rather pay and get the inspections the way that I needed them to be. I want them to be super, super detailed, so I know not just the condition of the units, but also the condition of the tenant. Is this a hoarder? Does this guy have 3 pit bulls? Do they have 19 cats in the closet? Does it smell like weed? And there's a bag of, nowadays that's not as bad. Is there a bag of cocaine laying on the table? No, I'm just kidding. All those things that go along with the tenant, we're going to inherit as well. So they get to learn about all that stuff. Now, we do hire third parties to walk the roof, to look at all the AC condensers and write down the inception dates, to look at the boiler rooms, to actually camera. We hire a plumber to camera all the lines and go to find out things the seller's not even aware of. He's just calling the plumber to roto-rooter once a month or twice a month or maybe 10 times a month. And we find those problems with the camera. So you got the physical side, the financial side, then you've got the physical side, you've got the legal side, which is being done by your attorney. And we are engaging our power team. Talked a little bit about that. The lender, we're locking in his quote, getting a term sheet from him. Management company who have already engaged. By the way, by the time we're PSA, I've already invited in a management company. We've already decided who we're going to use. We've already interviewed them, and we've already negotiated and at least have a boilerplate sample of their contract going back and forth that we're negotiating through. And the reason why is I want them to look at my business plan. If my business plan is to renovate 5 or 6 units a month, or maybe it's 16 a month, my goal with that renovated unit is to raise the rent $200 with the new tenant that's going to go in there. I need them to agree that that's not unrealistic, because if it is unrealistic, I need them telling me that I'm crazy, that that's not accomplishable. That's very, very important, because they're the ones that are going to have to implement that business plan. So it's very important that they're on board. Insurance company, now by now we've got deep quotes on insurance, but it's time to get property specific. And then we've got a couple of attorneys, as we've already talked about. I call it a local attorney. They're not local. They could be in North Carolina writing, being my attorney for a Texas deal, as long as they're licensed to do business there. And then a security exchange attorney who writes up all the docs, private placement memorandum, as well as the operating agreement, and forms all the entities for the ownership of the property and the running of the syndication. We're engaging our investors. That's where we start saying, okay, we should have documents prepared pretty soon. We'll upload it into our portal. We'll get the word out to investors. They can click on the link, learn more about it. We send out a video that they can learn more about. Once we get the blessing from the security exchange attorney, they can go in and they can soft commit. And then we're opening bank accounts, usually 2 or 3 of them, one for operations and one for investors and for our own operations outside of that. And then we close the deal and we take over the property. Sometimes we don't use as I already alluded to, sometimes, even though I should be clear about this, even though it is a new management company, oftentimes we will court the existing manager, the existing maintenance guy, to come on to and become employees of the new management company that we're engaging, because they already know the property, they know the tenant base. It only makes sense to bring them on as long as the performance of the property has been up to par. And then you get to reward yourself. You need dinner and a show, and you need to celebrate the win. Too many times in life, we just go like it's same old, same old. What do we do next? What do we do next? I like to make sure that, and Claudia and I do that very well. We enjoy ourselves and we say, you know what? High five moment. Let's just take a deep breath and let's enjoy this one.